Right, welcome back to part 3 of the engine installation. Although the engine's in there, I'm classing the cowl as part of the installation as well, because we need to do some cutting out so we can get the exhaust to exit the bottom, and also our spark plug cap, which just peers out through the bottom. What I've done, I'll just move this out of the way, is I've taken some measurements from the back of the firewall to where the plug is, and then initially I would have be drilling out a small hole to fit that through, and then offer it back in, and then work out where there's two little tubes that come off the exhaust where they come through, and then I'll be marking out them and do the scale cutout underneath the pup. What I've done, I have actually done that prior to this video, so what I've done is I've made a template, and basically the template's going to go on here like this in the marked out locations required, and then I need to cut this out. This is going to be a bit of a job because I don't have any specialised cutting tools, so it's going to be done with a junior hacksaw and a drill around these curves here. And then it'll all be filed round. So what I'll go away and do that now, and then hopefully when we come back you'll see the scow opening on the underside of the cowl. Okay, thank you. Right, welcome back. As you can see, the cowl's been cut, the opening's been put in. Although this is a scale feature on the pup, this opening is a little bit wider than on the full size. The reason for that is because of our exhaust ports here. They're quite wide, so I've had to make it wide enough so that these will just peer through. But when it's on the model, it doesn't really look too bad at all. Just to show that it fits, we'll just offer that underneath, and then locating it into position. Just need to pull this forward a bit. Okay, and there we have our cowl. That sits quite comfortably in place on the model, and as you can see, if you just look at the bottom section, you can't see very much at all from the bottom of where the spark plug is, and you can just about see the little exhaust poking out there, so it doesn't look too bad at all. The next thing to do now I've got that done, is to start thinking about putting the cowl mounting blocks on. So I'll go away and find them now, and then we can look at how I'm going to do that. Thank you. Right, back again. I've located my little blocks for my cowl fixings, but we're not just going to glue these on. What I need to do, because this is curve on the cowl, I need to bring the block into place and just raise it above, and then put a mark, pencil mark, which gives me the curve. And then what I'll do is I'll go away, and where you see where that mark is, I'll sand that round to that contour. I've marked them 1 to 7 because there's 7 of them, and then they can go in their locations. And the idea behind this is that this cowl will sit flush against the firewall, and to achieve a nice secure fit, and fit that's not going to cause any vibration, I've going to do that, recess them, and then this is a piece of the aluminium plate that comes from this cowl when I was cutting out the scow opening. It's also got a curvature in it as well, as you can see, and that will just go on there like so. And then what I can do is glue the block into place, in the knowledge that when they're all in, that cowl here is going to sit nice and snugly and flush with the firewall. Okay, so I'll get on and sand them down now, and then when we come back, hopefully you'll see them glued into place, and we'll offer the cowl up, and hopefully what I just said will all come to fruition. Okay. Welcome back again. As I mentioned earlier, the blocks have all been sanded, and I've located them in their required positions. They're numbered 1 to 7. I don't know if you remember just a minute ago I mentioned about having a aluminium plate that was cut out from the cowl. What I've decided to do as well, I've made that a bit smaller. I don't know if you can see here, that's the actual aluminium plate, and that's a piece of balsa wood this has been glued to, and that gives me a nice edge to butt up against the side of the fuselage, and that'll push over, and then when I glue my blocks into place, that'll tell me that the aluminium sitting flush on the firewall, and you've got the balsa pushed up against the side of the fuselage, meaning that the cowl will then become flush when we fit it on once these have all dried into position. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to epoxy them into position, and for this task I'm using a 30-minute epoxy because it gives me a little bit more time to work and readjust things, whereas a 5-minute one for all these will just be too quick. So I'm just going to put a small amount of epoxy along the base, and I'm just keeping it off the edge that's going to be on the outside to where the cowl butts up to, because again, when we put this into place we don't want it to squidge out too much, that when we come to put our cowl on we've got great chunks of epoxy in the way. So that's in position now, so just to make sure it's 100% where it needs to be, I'm just pushing that on, and then just put that block up to there, and then we can release that, and then that gives us the right gap that we require for our cowl when it sits on there. Just need to adjust it a little bit more, and hopefully I can release that, and that's in position now. Okay, so carry on going round with each one. You know, I've got this nice and square on the floor, and I've got some wire just holding it all in place, stopping it from falling over. So we'll take our next one, do exactly the same thing again. Again, the edge, which is a curved edge, we don't want that, so we're going to put it along this edge here, and then we press it down. That should just filter to the edge. We'll put that one in our location, roughly where we want it, and then our little jig again comes nicely into play. It sits nice and square. Push that round there like so, and just push that up to the edge, and that's another one in place. So using this little tool means I'm getting an accurate setup every time. I'll do one more, and I'm sure you don't want to see them all done. And again, on the edge, build it up a little bit more on there, and take it into position, put it roughly where we want it, and bring our little jig in again, make sure it's resting flush on the cowl, and that's another one in position. I think I just knocked that a little bit, so we'll just readjust that. Okay, and I'll just keep going around now until the other four are in their positions. And as I say, this will take half an hour to cure, so I'll see you in half an hour's time. Right, welcome back again. The blocks are all now being glued in position. All it leaves me to do now is just offer this cowl over the block just to make sure everything aligns up as we want it. So without further ado, I'll put that on and locate it into position. So there we are, the cow's now all in position, all nice and flush with the edge. What I'll do is I'll take the camera off the mount here and we'll have a look round the side cable port, sorry, and as you can see that works quite nicely. And if I tilt this up so we go underneath, that's the opening underneath for the cowl. As I say, it's a little bit wider than the scowl, but we need to make sure we've got adequate cooling in there, and the exhaust and spark plug protrude through unrestricted, so that's what we've done. I've kept it as tight as possible, but again allowing for no actual rubbing against either the engine or the actual exhaust. So there we are. So all I have to do now is I have to just think about starting to locate our fixing screws around the 7 points that we've done for the blocks. So that will be the last job, and then I'm satisfied that I'm finished with the cowl for the time being. Right, with the cowl in position now, what I've done, I've just put some electrical tape here and either side, so just holds the cowl into position. As you can see, there's a piece of white electrical tape on top of the cowl. I previously marked the outside edges of our blocks around all these, and it's just a matter of transferring these lines onto the tape and then working out the gap in between and getting the centre point, which is roughly there. And I know that the blocks underneath are 12 mils in width, so I need to just again mark 6 millimeters onto the cowl, and that will give me my centre point. The next thing I need to do is I need to drill through the aluminium cowl through into the block, and that will secure these little screws here that come with the kit. So I will set my drill up and I will do that, working my way around each one. Starting with the top one, I'll screw that in so it's nice and tight. This side here, screw them likewise so they're nice and tight, and then work my way around until I get to the bottom of the cowl, and then that should ensure that everything fits nice and tightly and securely into position. So I'm going to do that now, and when you come back you'll see all these drilled and screwed into place. Right, all the holes have been drilled, the screws have been located in the cowl and the canal connected to the fuselage, as you can see. I've just put the prop on to give you the overall impression of what she'll look like when she's finished. As you can see, quite a lot of room in there, some nice cooling going down through there and out the outside. And if I come round here and we take a look up, we should be able to see the opening there, and as you can see it's all nice and flush with the cowl and the fuselage going round. I will be doing a little bit more sanding around this area prior to covering, just to tidy everything up, but in essence that's where we're at. So I'm saying that's the engine installation and the cowl done for now. What I will do when I come to the covering stage, before I cover the model, I will actually fuel proof the firewall. So that means all the engine will come out, all the other fitments, and that'll all be coated with a coat of fuel proofing, and then we can get on to covering of the model. So all that's really left to do on this fuselage now is just give it a general sanding all over and then get it prepped up ready for the covering of the solar text, which this model is going to be covered with. So thank you for watching so far, and see you in a later video.